Okay. Maybe it'll behave this time. Alright, good. So I had a vague idea involving seating beacons so far. I don't know. How is the sound balance? I've turned the desktop volume way down, and I've turned the music down a bit. It should still be audible though, hopefully. As well as the sounds from the sound effects from Drod. Anyway, this room might not wind up actually being the entrance. We can always come in from that side like that, or something like that. The entrance might just be a more generic hub room. Alright. I might turn the desktop audio up a little bit. Just a little. Alright. There's Drod sound effects. Hopefully I can still be heard okay over that. Alright. Anyway, what I have so far is this idea. That's not working the way I wanted it to. I guess I need to set this up differently. Probably... yeah, narrow passage like that. And that closes that, and this should reopen it. I guess. That's not quite everything I'd need for this to work right, is it? Maybe I'd be better off with engineers or something. I just want a simple build marker set up that'll build a new bomb whenever, but only build so many of them. So here that builds one bomb, and that immediately opens the way for them. Okay, I don't want it to work like that. Let's just do it this way. That. Make this toggle that. Or open that. That might work. I'm a little concerned about leaving the player in control of that, but the player can only hurt themselves by doing this. At the same time, this is a little awkward still. Yeah, this doesn't... I don't know how to make a citizen setup like this work properly. Maybe it just needs to be more complicated. I mean, I could just say push special command to rebuild the bomb or something, but that's a little bit more overhead than I really want. Well, whatever.
Black, and then I could use white pencil and white on the red.
Sure. Sorry, I was ambushed with a question of my opinion on something. What if I just do this? That makes a problem for the... No, that won't work either. That creates a problem for the decoy setup. Maybe engineers would be better? Let's see if this works. Yeah, that'll work. Okay, yeah, that's a little bit of an issue. I'll need to separate these two functions. There we go. Right, and now I just need a fourth thing to be built. I'll just put another... I'll just do that. That should work. I'm fussing with the volume again. Okay. So now, every time I destroy it, it'll make a new bomb marker, and you can send guys through to build the bomb up to 4 times. I'm not really sure that 4 is too... 4 might be a bit too much to allow, but this is a good setup that seems to consistently function, at least. So I observed earlier that I had a setup that worked for this one that used 4 decoys. I want to say it was something a bit like this. Yep. And then if I also do that, I might not really even need the rebuilding setup. Maybe I could split this into 2 rooms, one which uses rebuilding and one which doesn't. That very nearly works. In fact, the only reason this doesn't work is it actually blocks a little too much on the bottom left. Oh yeah, that's also an issue. I don't know how to prevent that. This is the first thing I thought of when I was like, how can I give the player a way to make his own make his own walls to block off the bomb. And at first I thought, oh, I'll just let the player hold a stick and push decoys around, but I can't do that because the player can hit things with his stick. How can I prevent the player from doing that while still letting them build the decoys in the same places? or similar places anyway. This is also kind of a problem, but this is a problem that the player would create for themselves. And I'm okay with that. I mean, I could make this a lot more awkward and just put Ormites all around the... But that's not enough space to work with, I think, to actually get good blocking. Like, this is a really sloppy way to prevent the player from doing the bad thing, but I don't think it'll work, is the problem. There's just not enough space to work with this way. At least I don't think there is. Maybe this could be a justification for why you need to redo the bomb a few times, though. This winds up being a fairly open-ended puzzle, which I'm kind of happy with, although I'm not completely sure. I don't know, I just picked this configuration at random, so I can't know for sure that this one is the best one for this puzzle necessarily. Alright, well, I can still get all but one of them with the first bomb. And then, is there a way to just block off that one? Maybe not? That would be okay, though. If you could still make something interesting of it. So that placement doesn't block off that one. But if I try to block off that one with this, then I will also block that one. And I don't want to do that. I don't know, this might be a cool thing. Is there a way to block just those two, I wonder? Because we need to essentially toggle everything. I admit I'm not thinking that carefully about exactly how this works, but I might just need to change the initial setup so that that one is the other parity, even though I think this could be really neat if I could make it work a certain way. What does this do? Or, actually, what would the result of this be? Just this? That's sort of interesting. There might be a less immediately obvious solution. Like, for example, if I just block that... Oh yeah, that does help. Duh. I don't know. That initial setup seems really satisfying to put. On the other hand, if you're allowed multiple toggles, it would make sense to try and be efficient with them. So you would want the ones that have lots of things to be kind of left alone. I don't know if that makes any sense, but... Oh hey, I watched your Optimizing Droids video that went up today. Optimizing RPG, I should say. Oh, cool. That should be fun to watch. I really wish we could get a full release out with all that stuff, because I started trying to build something just a little bit this afternoon after watching that video, and I kept wishing that I could just use the bigger prizes. Even not just crates, but just the ability to place down the reveal the whole map item or the bigger prizes on an individual basis is really nice. I forgot already what I did here, but I think it was something more like this. Yeah, I think this is more like what I did before. This way you get... Yeah, this way you hit that one and none of the others on that side. And then if you do this, then that will hit all three of those. And then I think we want one like this. Or maybe it was this way. Oh, I bet I know. So this for sure. Then it was something like that. Yeah. So this exact setup will get all but one of them. And then it's just largely a matter of trying to get the last one. I think it might be possible to do it by toggling like that, and then trying to make sure that the next one just misses those two or something. Or not precisely that, but... I think my architectural style is really obviously showing. I'm basically just searching for a solution to declare to be the correct one. But if I do that, it'll toggle all but that one. Maybe that'll help. There might be kind of a parity issue just in general with this one being like that. I don't know. I feel like I should split this into two different rooms. Because if I do this, then I can make this work without the engineers at all. If I do that, then I could just literally place a bomb there and not have the engineers reset anything, and there is a neat solution that works. And then I could find a different configuration that works for the other room. Let's see, is that correct? That's correct. And then I think we want to do this. I kind of like how the preview actually persisted for a moment there, and it also, while persisting, updated to show how things can be. So here I could just remove 4 of them, probably the southern 4, and I could give the player a solution that just works, like that. I really like that. So, for this version of the room, I don't need any of this nonsense. I don't need this scripted guy. I don't need but 8 potions, which I could probably organize in a little bit. Oops. I need to carefully refocus all of my windows if I misclick. So I think what I could do... Oh, I did copy it. Oh look, it's a spam. How do I spam this spam? There we go. Okay, yeah, I did think about that. That's why I just started deleting things, because I was like, okay, I've already done that part. Alright, so now I can just place a bomb here. Oh. Click out of the window by accident again. Alright, so now... I don't know, I kind of like the way this looks. It's the symmetry of this setup a little bit. Well, actually, it's not quite symmetrical. If I move everything south a tile, then it'll be very symmetry. And with that setup, I kind of want to place these potions. I want the player to be able to access every potion from every direction for maximum freedom. That's 9. Alright, that works. This looks nice. Oh yeah. Rotational symmetry, please. There we go. And that... This is just going to blow up a brain. If the player so happens to not succeed at their setup, then they have the option of leaving the room and coming back. The green doors will go down anyway. So if you don't feel like actually solving the room, you can still do this, and I forgot to set up what kills the brain. There we go. Yeah, so you can do that, you can leave, and you can come back and see that you're not actually done. And... let's adjust this a little bit. I want the passage to be at least decently convenient. I could put in tunnels. Alright, that's a nice passage. And then this can be attached to it this way. I might not want anything going around there. For this version of the room, I don't know, possibly I need to give the player less decoys or make the setup different. I'll have to work on that, but I'm okay with leaving that as a scribble for now. There we go. And this is not necessarily going to be the entrance. We'll see. I should make a room based on some monster. Any suggestions on what monster I should make it based on? Or at least start out poking into the room? Ah, yeah. This is by Hylian Lemon, who has a lot of really good songs on OC Remix. I'm just sort of making an abstract shape. I ought to do something. I don't know. Is it? I guess it is. I'm not very good at making seep puzzles. I don't know, I guess I could make something about pushing a seep across a gap or something. I don't know about this. Yeah. Like, it'd be cool if there was some way... I guess there exists a way, possibly, to make a golem corpse block a seep. I mean... hypothetically, say, not if I were to do this and then put that, then the seep can't cross. So that's kind of an interaction. Can I do something with that? This part won't look very seep-like, but I don't know what the goal of this is. I guess in theory I could make it where the player can't reach the seep until after. This will possibly require some setup reconfiguration. I'm tempted to add a brain here, so that the seep will actually try to reach the player somehow. That would complicate whatever I'm trying to do with the giants, though. Well, they don't have to be giants anyway, but... let's just say that I put a brain somewhere in the room. I don't know, if I were to do this, would they immediately escape? Yeah, okay. Let's just put things like that then. So if I wanted to block off that pathway, I could do something like that. Or if I wanted to not block it off, then I could avoid doing that. I think what I really need is an interesting pathway and a reason for the player to manipulate it. Maybe some kind of timer type thing? Like if your goal was, say, to make the seep's path as long as possible? This doesn't need to be an arrow, it can be another open door that closes. Actually, this entire thing could be one big open door that closes. But that would give the player a lot more freedom as to where to put the golem corpses, which isn't necessarily going to contribute a more interesting puzzle. I could start with it this way, set up the connection, and then exchange some of it for walls. Let's say that the player has to trap himself here for some length of time. And that'll also open up a timer somewhere. My hand immediately reaches for Briar when I think I want a timer. I guess this probably makes it look a little less like a seep, but whatever. If I do things this way, it would very cleanly kill off the seep when it was time. I also need to probably disarm the player somehow at this point, so they can't just do that. So let's see. I could just put a disarm token on this button, right? What's the player gonna do with it? Do about it? Nothing. Like that. I admit I don't really... I guess that looks okay. I'm not great artistically. Alright, so theoretically... There's also one other thing that I need to think about and consider. Yeah, I need a way for the player to not be allowed to just block the seep off. So in theory I would need the seep to have some goal, or I would need to change exactly how the doors interact. But just as a proof of concept, while this configuration is definitely not what I want. Yeah. What can seep do for you? Well, rather than the seep dying off immediately, let's say that I wanted it to go somewhere, hypothetically. Like, what I think of right away is maybe there's for some reason an isolated soldier or stalwart over here, and we actually need the seep to go move him off of his thing. I guess he could actually be disarmed or something. I don't know. This should be a force arrow. Alright, that way the player needs to do something so that he can reach the brains. So if everything works properly, let's see if I can make the current state of affairs. This is probably a really easy configuration to block off sufficiently. I'll need to adjust the way that the maze is structured as well as the timer to make this actually interesting, but let's just see what this looks like. Yeah, as it stands, that's a little too long. Let's just make this arbitrarily quickly. I won't actually want multiple Briar like that, because that'll make it harder to read, but... Alright. That's a little too fast. Let's just pretend... Yeah. I just want to see that this all works properly before I start using it to build something. Alright, that should work. Yeah, so here... Oh yeah, it's still brain. That doesn't work. Dang. Instead, let's just put something else over here that can't be killed by the Briar. And the Briar does unbrain it. Yeah, this is why I felt the need to actually test this before I mess with it. So this creates kind of a Goldilocks requirement where you need to slow the seep down, but not too much. At least ideally it should. Yeah, so now that's unbrained. If I walk far enough away, then it's attracted to the stalwart, and in some way or another it opens the door to go kill this. And you can safely rearm on the same token you used to open the way before, so there's no problem with that. I could make this a wall so that this can just open all of the arrows, because that's more satisfying to look at. Alright, so now I just need to do the most difficult part of what I can think of here, which is actually come up with an interesting maze for the player to set things up in. Some of this I'm going to replace with doors, I think. Alright, something like that. Place some doors around. I might still adjust the size of the timer. Also, there's one thing I don't like about this room. I want to push it a tile to the east. Aesthetically, I just prefer that the edge walls look like this if I can, and in this case there's no reason I can't. What do you do again? Oh yeah. Alright, let's see what this does. So I think, first of all, what is the longest path here? It's a little hard to discern. I would guess that experts will be able to tell right away. Ideally, I guess you'd really want it to kind of go down and then back up again. In which case, I might want to make it possible for the player to set things up that way. So what if I just adjust the shape of that door a little more? Maybe do something like that. So now what the player can do is force the seep to kind of go south and then back north again, or go north and then back south again, maybe? What is it that the seep wants to do if I just step on this? Yeah. So something you can do here is you can always test the current setup to see what the seep wants to do. That is, that will tell you what the quickest path is in the current state of things. I'm not completely committed to this being a rock giant, because the puzzle isn't fundamentally about manipulating brained rock golems, but I'm okay with it for now. So wait. Yeah, no. So here it's going to go south and then back to the north again. And that only uses one of the giants. But it isn't long enough. I don't think so. Yeah, no. So let's say if instead I let it go north, but I absolutely love what this song does at this point. So if I do that, then it forces it to go north. I think. Or rather, yeah, this way what it's going to want to do at first is go south. Let's just see what this does. Yeah, and you can oh, hang on, that's the problem. We don't want to cut it off exactly like that. But yeah, you can make this part of the path longer using a rock golem. Or two in the right places. Yeah, I think you would need another one here, which I could have put, but didn't. Over here, dummy. I do think this is a fairly neat interaction. It's just kind of a weird one to think about. A difficult one to think up on your own at first. Okay, this is a good start. I'd like to give the player the opportunity to force the seep to loop back, if that makes any sense. Like, make it go up and back down again here. So for that, I could do this, maybe? And this. That way the player can be very creative with the structure of the blockage. There we go, that's what I wanted. And then what I think I need to do now is block like that. What does that look like? Oh. Okay, yeah, that's a problem. Can I even put a golem in that spot? Yeah, there we go. I think this is what I wanted. I might have gotten mixed up with what I was trying to go for, but Oh yeah, okay. That makes sense. Alright, I clearly don't remember exactly what I set up before. I'm sure that I thought this would help. The idea being that they need to go... I might need to expand the doors to make the idea I have work better. Alright, with that, the seep should be expected to go like this. Well, I need to maybe block that off to make the seep do this. I think that should work, right? Let's see. Yeah, so here he went all the way around, and he's gonna go that way. Oh, okay, okay. I think to make the idea I have work, I just need to make that adjustment right there. That's what I was being tripped up on a bit. I don't know, it's kind of fun using the Rock Golem and Giant. They're just not that much the focus of the puzzle, so I'm a little dubious of keeping things exactly this way rather than just giving the player an easy-to-access supply of Giants and or Golems. Probably just Golems. I don't know. Expert mode of this would be placing a construct somewhere so that the seep goes around it and then loops and then like steps back somehow. I have no idea how I would force the player to actually do that though. Do I have all the blockings that I want? I think I do. Let's see how this looks. Yeah, that would work. Oh, okay. Yeah, this configuration works great. Now I just need to, I guess, lure this guy farther this way. Is he ever going to be attracted to the... Okay. Just need to be sure about that. And we can get our sword back if we want. Alright, maybe instead of him opening that, he can do something else that needs doing to be a little bit more convenient. Like over here, we can put another dude. And put an eye here. And just make that open that instead. And that way, the player doesn't have to go muck around at all. I don't know, this kind of works like this. The placement of everything is rather nice. Although there's kind of a lack of minimality in supply here. Because I have like 3 extra golems by the time I'm through with this really nice configuration that works great. So there's a question of whether I should require the player to somehow make use of these 3 extras, or if I should like replace one of the giants with just a golem. At the same time, like, I feel like a certain amount of open-endedness with how many of them there are is a little bit almost necessary. Oh, whoops, that's not going to work. We don't want it to track to that guy. Let me just do this. No. Yeah, there we go. That might help. The 3x1 vertical wall to this Z shape. I see. Yeah. Could do that. This Z shape would require you to use at least 2 golems that way. Now what should everybody be connected to? Alright. Close. Open. Open. Oop. Okay, I thought I accidentally placed a open door there. So with this you need to put... Well, I don't know, do you need to put that? I guess you probably do. Alright, so you need to put 2 guys like that, 2 guys like that. I don't know, this doesn't seem too hard. Do you think it's reasonable to have the giants be set up this way? Because this doesn't seem like the manipulation is really so difficult that I need to really worry about the player stressing over it. 1 excess golem honestly seems okay to me. Alright, so with that you can place him there. Pull him north a tile, and now he should automatically be attracted to that guy. Simultaneous kill. Alright, this worked pretty well. I don't know if it looks very much like a seep anymore, but I think the end result is really nice still. Alright, I'm happy with this. Let's put checkpoints in places, I guess. Just kind of haphazard checkpoints. Alright. What to do now? Alright. Let's see. Alright, here I have 2 generators. I'm not sure if I really want to keep generators, but in theory, a bridge building room could work, or something where you need to... Or something where you need to put up a pile of fluff somehow. These should be aligned so that they won't automatically kill each other. Something like that, maybe? Oh, water looks odd in this style. Alright, give the player a platform to work with and shove all this to the west a little farther. And of course the player gets a stick. He might also get a speed potion if I find myself annoyed with the manipulation part. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to be for, though. Maybe something where, like, a guy of this variety needs to step across, like, from east to west or something, and at the same time a skipper or something needs to go from north to south. Or a skipper just needs to go north to south in a particular speed. Might want to make it rained. We'll see. This might be a little bit irritating because the vent is going to take forever to produce any fluff. And he's going to get stuck. Okay, let's configure this a little bit more conveniently. Maybe something like that will be more convenient. I could also just start the vents with some fluff on them. No, these arrows are not very convenient. I just don't want the fluff to grow out. Maybe something like that. I don't want it to make a big messy pile. Yeah, that's the way to put it. Yeah, I think this should work. This guy keeps trying to kill me. Alright, and the reason is we can make something like that. This is an interesting caveat. Every time you make an ice, it becomes an obstruction to your vessel. I kind of want to push this a little bit east so that it's not so easy to ram your face into the skipper over there on the west. The hard part is working out what exactly to require of the player here. At least as far as I'm concerned, that is. I know that I want the player to need to make some kind of bridge. So some construction like this should be involved. What if you just need to cart an explosive across? I'm not sure that I'm satisfied with that alone, but that's a start. This might be a nightmare to try to make work, but we're gonna see. And more force arrows we need. I don't want the player to just walk off of this platform. Come to think of it, I'm not exactly sure how to prevent the player from just using this platform to do whatever they want. Let's put some doors. And make the player dock the platform somewhere to open the doors. Alright, this is okay, I'm just not totally sure about it. For the moment, I don't think it requires enough of the shape of the thin ice. You basically just need a whole bunch of it, which is not very satisfying. But it is possible, or at least plausible, to do something here. This is also a little bit unpleasantly tall. I mean, look at how much room there is vertically here. I don't like that at all. Let's just put more land, I guess. Oh yeah, that's also an issue. This platform's a bit big. In theory, you should be able to do it now, but I do want to prevent the player from just walking over to the other part of the room. Twice? No, you shouldn't need to traverse the southern passage twice. I don't know how well this would work, but my idea was vaguely... Oh, hang on. No, I see what you mean. You need to put something like that. Yeah. My idea was vaguely that you should be able to push to, like, draw this guy across with the brain once you get to this side. I'm not completely sure that I want it to work that way, even. I was just scribbling down like a vague version of the concept of what I was after. I don't necessarily think that I want it to be like that. I'm not exactly sure what the best way to go about that is, honestly. Okay, this is already getting annoying for me. There. If the player doesn't want a speed potion, they can dunk it in the water. And never have to see it. But I want a speed potion to deal with this. Yeah, I feel like my requirements here should be more specific somehow. I'm not exactly sure how to make them like that. As it stands now, it feels like I could just make a straight line, like, boop, and just push the keg straight across, which isn't very satisfying. I guess I could put an obstacle in the way or something. I'm still not completely sure that would solve the issue, though. Also, this is a little bit cumbersome to pull the fluffs out of. I don't want them to go killing that nest prematurely, but I don't like having the player go all the way around just to get there. Also, these doors aren't very foolproof as it currently stands. By which I mean, if you just place a little bit of ice bridge carefully, you can walk straight across back into the main part of the room as long as you want. Come to think of it, if I were to just place an ice bridge here and on the opposite side in the same place, then you can pretty much just scoot the keg all the way across using that. Maybe this would be less cumbersome? I don't know. I'm not sure about that. What does this look like? A little awkward to get a guy out, but you can get as many guys out as you want fairly quickly. Better if this goes all the way across, then you can just pull them diagonally out. No, it's not. You have to be very careful. I mean, it looks tedious so far, but I need to come up with some good ideas. As it currently stands, I don't like it either. It needs something more to it. Yeah, but I don't like the idea of the player having to... my goal in setting things up, as far as that goes, is mainly just so that the player doesn't have to worry about a bunch of fluff just being really just forming a giant thing. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't want the player to have to worry, or I don't want to have to worry during testing about a giant ball of fluff appearing in part of the room while I'm not paying attention to it. That being said, I might not really want vents at all by the time I'm through coming up with a better idea for how this should work. I might just want to make a single pile that the player pulls from in a limited capacity. Yeah, as it stands right now, this is highly exploitable. Oh, but there's not actually a way to push him through there. Oh, and that's not correct either. Yeah, that door is bad. Okay, there are several problems with even the enforcement mechanism here. The main thing that I think I need is a much narrower passage to try and build a bridge across. I think maybe having a platform at all is a bad choice. And I don't need nearly as much horizontal space if I'm going to do something like this. Yeah. That's player, role, player, something. Set player, something. Water traversal. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Alright. A clear demonstration for the player to know. And this mechanism all needs to be reconfigured a bit. I'm thinking I only want to let the player access this shallow part of it, maybe. I want this to be maybe even a bit claustrophobic. Once the player is trying to get across with the keg. So I have in mind something vaguely like that. And something similar on the other side. I may yet want to configure the obstacle setup a little better, but that's a start. This kind of water parenthesis thing. This needs to open things up a bit. Excuse me. This isn't still completely what I'm after, but this is a start toward the idea I might have in my head. Again, I might want to replace the full fluff generator behavior with just a limited amount of fluff. I might not really even need the extra bit with the water skipper if this works, if I can make the obstacles interesting enough to work with. Yeah, so... let's just... okay. For right this minute, I'm just going to replace that with a big ball of fluff. Make this very easy to handle. And I might eventually replace that with less fluff than it is. Oh yeah, I forgot about the speed potion, but maybe the player doesn't want it in the room this small. So in theory... I think what I really just need here is an interesting setup of obstacles. Or something. Suppose I set things up so that the player absolutely cannot bring the stick in with them to carry this powder keg. Actually, the shallow water traversal makes this less interesting in that case, because you're allowed to step off of... you're allowed to kind of turn back and step off without messing things up. I could just change things so the player stops shallow water traversing in this area, though, if I really wanted to. This tunnel is meaningless. Just for consistency, everything can be shallows, why not? That's clear enough, I hope. So that way the player cannot go through this passage with anything other than a sword. And then if he brings the sword, then he can push this behind him. Oh, that actually makes this a lot more claustrophobic than it already was. I might need to reconfigure the way I think about the obstacles here. Maybe make them not identical. I almost wonder if I should just stick the fluff on the opposite side of this or something. I messed up everything window-wise. There we go. And a convenience tunnel to go back and forth between the two sides, maybe? This might be interesting to try to optimize. Yeah. Generally speaking, something like this isn't built for total optimization fun. So I suppose the player would need to use some leverage. So at this point, yeah, with the shallow water, the player could choose to put, well, I could choose to put things a certain way. There's one where the stick is right now. And then the player could back over this way, push it north, push it up that way, and do that. That's kind of interesting. I'm not completely convinced about it, though. Suppose I set things up so that the skipper has to go across first. And then after that, then the player traverses with the keg. Might be of interest. Hard to tell. Yeah, this is overall kind of awkward to manipulate things around with. I don't know. Honestly, it might be easier than... It would be possibly easier to not bother with the skippers and just use two of the fluffs at the same time to make the ice. And I could totally just remove the skipper generator and give the player an ample supply of fluff to do that with, maybe? That would possibly simplify things a little bit. I'll also need to change the way that that part is set up if I want to do things here like this. I should be more specific. If I wanted things to work this way, then I would need to change the north passage so that you can actually push the keg into position with your back. Because as it stands now, you can't even push it in there with a stick. That should work. That doesn't quite work. Oh, you can just make ice appear underneath an obstacle. Does that have any gameplay implications? Probably not. In theory, when I was done, I would probably put the obstacles on regular land anyway. Yeah, so as it stands, this kinda works, but not really. Needs improvement. Alright, see you. I probably won't be too much longer doing this, but I don't know. Let's see. Why would you need to bring a skipper here? I don't know. This requires work, but I'm happy to just leave it as a work in progress for now, and work on something else for the moment. Let's just slot in some space. That might be the entrance right there. Meaningless. Gentry Eye. I haven't done much interesting with Gentry in a while. Not totally sure what to do with Gentry, honestly. Maybe something, though. You walk in this room and the Gentry just kills you. Have fun. Probably not that. Well, I'm gonna turn to the idea generator. Can I... Yeah, themed results for Gentry. And I'm just gonna set this to be some random things. Okay. The idea generator suggests use Fagundo Ashes, include this concept, non-Bithro player role, include this interaction. Citizen/builder cannot be moved, placed, removed, or can be moved, placed, removed to redirect Gentry. Use this interaction against the player. Roach Queen cannot spawn roach eggs on Gentry. Well, I'm not really going with exactly what the idea generator tells me to do. I'm not really sure how I would use Fagundo Ashes in tandem with Gentry. But it is worth mentioning that, yeah, if there's a Gentry chain in the way... Let's just box this guy in real quick. Then the Queen cannot spawn anything on the chain. Is there any interesting way to use that? I wonder. You'd need to have a fair bit of control over the chain. That is, the player would need to have a fair bit of control over the chain. I'm really not into the idea of trying to make citizens do something. To block a Gentry to make that happen? That seems really unpleasant. Let's try again. Alright, this one says include basic backswipe, guide a monster out of the maze. Use this interaction against the player. Player can manipulate Gentry's movement. How can you use that against the player? Oh well, whatever. I could always set up a Gentry maze, I suppose. I'm just not sure how to make that work necessarily very well. This looks unpleasant already. Suppose I start out with things in this setup. Now if the player does something like this, they can release the Gentry sufficiently to let a roach spawn. And I don't know what to do with the Gentry then. I don't know what the player could need a roach for exactly. Maybe something though. How stupid exactly are stalwarts? Do they try to stab Gentry or do they just leave them alone? No, they're actually a little smart. I mean, they won't actively dodge Gentry, but it doesn't look like they're going to try to attack them either. So this is a stable state. If I make it to where there's a path to that queen, then this guy is going to go try to stab her and get himself killed. Somewhat interesting. I'm still not sure how I could use that necessarily. Can I do something with that? Maybe? I don't know. What I have kind of vaguely in mind is something about trying to delay the stalwart. Like make him take a few steps but not too many. In which case I should give the player some kind of safe way to destroy that. To destroy the roach that spawns. Oh. Really? I thought the queen did do that. I guess not. Okay. What'll happen if I set things up that way? Oh, he'll immediately straighten. That's bad. Alright, now he can't straighten or anything. This is kind of neat, but it's overly convoluted for what it's actually accomplishing. At the very most, I could see this as being some kind of weird timer. A really weird cycle timer. Alright, I'm not really sure exactly what to do with this room idea overall. Okay, let's go back to this. I want to see if I can figure anything out with this overall concept. So the problem we ran into with the configuration that I had before was kind of interesting to consider. What if I just set up something very obvious to look at, like this? Okay, if I do this, then it toggles those. Yeah, there is something interesting going on with the two at the edge like this. But it seems like there ought to be some way to do something about that. Oh, wait a minute. What does this do exactly? That could hit all but a corner. This makes it hit that kind of wing pattern. Is there yet any way to make it only hit a certain thing? To only hit one of the two on the edge? It might just be that the geometry makes it impossible. Certainly. Well, this is excessively awkward. You really don't want to do that. If I were to say, give the player access to, like, one powder keg, then you could probably make this work. Yeah, this is how you could flip things within, well, this is a way that you could mess with the parity, is by placing powder keg a very particular way. This way you could give those at the edge the same parity. It almost seems too obvious, though, in some ways. I don't know, is it too obvious? If I just hand the player a couple of powder kegs and say go crazy, it isn't necessarily clear exactly what they're for, is it? The symmetry of this setup I don't necessarily want to maintain. You could also use the powder kegs this way, of course, which is... Oh, whoops, I got rid of a thing somewhere along the way by accident. But yeah, you could literally just do this in this room, and that's no good. But... yeah, let me give this a more interesting setup, maybe. Something like that, perhaps. So what you need to do is essentially something like that. And then this. And if you do that, then you can flip one side of each of those and not the other. And you could even do something like this, maybe. I forget what I was doing before, but... I think maybe I was thinking of something like that. To give more room to block things on that end. That's probably it. And that leaves you with just one not done, which I think it should be possible to manage. Yeah, okay. This is a little too easy. I might limit the number of decoys the player can use somewhat more. I suspect there's a way to be more efficient with the decoy usage if you allow for toggling. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 out of 5 times 4 is 20. So more of them are lit than are unlit, I guess. Suppose I make it so that there's disproportionately many of them already lit. Something like that. Or no, the other way around. Alright, so now there's only 8 of them that are already lit at the start. Four, of course, might be a bit too many. Might be a bit too many engineers to give the player, but I think this configuration will result in all of them being lit. And then you can unlight them like that. So that gives you 5 left over. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Make that 8 instead, and then remove one of them conspicuously. Maybe imitate the shape of the room below this a little better. I don't really need this guy to be here. There we go. And I need to change where the build marker is. Maybe set something up like this. And then I know there is at least one solution that works like this. Oh, hang on, have I got the placement of the barrels backwards? I think I might. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think this works. Actually, I still have an extra guy with things like that. So, I don't know, it feels almost like a shame that you need only 2. When there's this nice mechanism to have 3 and be very symmetrical with things. It also makes it a little less clever if you just use 3 of them this way. I think I did that wrong, actually. Oh yeah, you still have to block something. Duh. I'm not even sure it's possible to solve it when you waste your space like this, when you waste your decoys this way. Yeah. This is essentially a result of having too fewer decoys than you need. I don't like this asymmetry. I'm just going to do that. That should work. Well, alright. I can just put a guy... I can just make this 2. Maybe there's a way to construct a puzzle like this that requires 3 guys, but... or 3 rebuilding... 3 bombs instead of just 2, but I don't know how to do it exactly, so whatever. This is fine. And I'll just place something here for the player to kill. Oh wow, there's a huge leak in this room actually. No there's not. Okay. If I set up that room the way I set up this room, there would be a leak, because you could just open the green door and use it to take back a caber, and maybe mess things up with it. So I need to be careful about that. I guess all I really need to do is set up the passage so that... Yeah, that'll work. So this way the player cannot go and retake a caber and mess anything up with that. Alright, I'm gonna skip that one. Okay, so I'm kinda happy with this. We have what I would call 3 good puzzles, 1 decent idea for a puzzle that isn't finished, and 1 vague concept of a thing that might become a puzzle in the future, possibly. I need to leave a little early today anyway, and I'm not sure I have any other ideas right now. I'm really rather happy with these rooms, though. So what I'm going to do for the last little bit is go ahead and make demos. I need to do that because otherwise I will forget how rooms are supposed to work, and that will be a problem. I think that's it. Yep. Oh, hang on, this demo's no good. It starts from an entrance that might not be an entrance. I just need to leave and come back. There we go. Is that it? That looks awfully symmetrical for being a correct solution. I guess I'm okay with that, even if it is a little silly. That might not be the only way to set up the swords, but it is kind of interesting that a symmetrical setup like that works so well. Or a vaguely symmetrical-ish thing, anyway. Okay. Where's the last place? I think right here. Kind of neat that going straight on that checkpoint actually fixes that. Alright, and then the other room that is finished down to the south. I think that's right. Yep. And then there. Alright. That works. Demos. Built. Alright, well, I consider that to be good enough for the moment. Thank you for watching. I might have a bit more time next week, but that's probably what I've got for today. Have a good rest of your week. I think I'll see you next week. The week after that, I might skip. I might take a day off. I might take 1 week of not streaming the week after next, because I think that's when Games Done Quick will be streaming. I might want to watch that instead. But we'll see. Anyway, for now, farewell. Let me know what you thought of this in the stream thread, I guess, if you have some kind of feedback. But farewell for now.